I am just pulling up General Electric. It is one of the most widely held stocks. It is down about 1.5% right now in the world. A lot of you have owned this or own it. Activist investor Nelson Peltz is one of those owners, but he carries a big stick. He was the one who forced former CEO Jeff Immelt to step down back in June, and now Peltz may have finally found the right man to be his eyes and ears on the inside on the board, says Charlie Gasparino.
Yeah, we should point out that GE is down today, largely on a JP Morgan downgrade. One of its analysts says it is not something you want to hold on to right now. I mean, this is a very controversial stock. It was, almost. We worked for CNBC, which was a unit of NBC, which was a unit of General Electric. So you remember what happened during the financial crisis. Stock went down to $8 a share. A lot of people thought it was going to go out of business. Then CEO Jeff Immelt, I would say, did a pretty good job saving the company, but he hasn't done a good job, I believe, and a lot of investors believe, in bringing back the company to where it was when Jack Welch ran. If you put a long-term chart, you'll see what I'm saying. Those problems still persist now that Immelt has stepped down under pressure from Peltz, story we first broke, and John Flannery is the new CEO. So here's what we have. We know this. Peltz owns a little less than a 1% stake, about $2 billion worth of GE stock. That's a lot of stock because, remember, it's widely held. Even if it's less than 1%, he's still one of the top shareholders. We understand that GE is nearing a decision on granting Nelson Peltz's Trian Management, again, an activist fund, the fund that pushes managements to do stuff like fire its CEO, as they did with Immelt, to get a board seat. The board seat would likely be filled not by Peltz, sources are telling us. It would be by Ed Garden, who's his chief investment officer, essentially his right-hand man. The decision could be made at a board meeting before the end of the month. And here's what I would say here, Liz. If this does happen, and I'm hedging here because it's not a done deal. This is a big company. I don't know exactly what's going on inside the boardroom. I do know from sources close to Trian that they think this is a good shot. They are going to get the board seat. If this does happen, it's going to show. It's going to be an indication that GE wants to do a more radical restructuring that they've done so far. Remember,
they've shed so many assets.
Not that much. They got rid of in 2015
appliances,
but they got rid of GE Capital.
Yes,
they did some other stuff around the edges, the appliances, the whole sort of core of GE is
light bulbs.
It's I know, but
it was sad.
Yeah, I know you like. It's Edison, right?
I'm very nostalgic.
But here's the thing, and Flannery is, from what I understand, is engaging in a sort of top-to-bottom review where he may do some significant layoffs. But if Peltz's guys get on the board, I think that's an indication that they're going to shed even more assets. That this thing is going to be restructured in a more radical way, and you'll see a much smaller GE, a much more defined GE for the future. And I think the stock will change on that. I think the stock should, if they go this route, that's a route that could jazz up the stock. Now, if you look at all the analyst reports, they say this thing is a lumbering giant. They don't give it a lot of credence. But I am telling you, if you put Peltz on that board, there's going to be some radical change. That's what he pushes for. He constructively engages, but he also pushes for a fairly radical restructuring of any company he gets involved with, including this. And here's the interesting thing. I think they have a good relationship.
We're about to get cut off.
Okay.
You and I have a great relationship, but
anyway,
thank you for the story.
I wish they would give me more than 30 seconds to tell my
see now
to break real news.
That's called.
I know the UN is calling.
4 minutes is 30 seconds suddenly. Charlie, thank you very much. Charlie Gasparino.